This is our automated package pickup system. It's an efficient, safe, and quick way for customers to receive their packages.
We have 2 sensors, one for when a car pulls up and a color sensor, and there are 3 servos and 1 motor.
All right, ready? All right, so this is the circuit design. So here are the 2 battery packs which run to the motor controller, and they provide power for the motor. And then the rest of the power just comes from the Arduino. We have this breadboard here, which there's a main power strip as the red plus one, and then a main ground strip as the blue minus. So almost actually all the grounds come to this, and then there's a jumper wire coming from this ground to the ground on the Arduino, and then the 5-volt on the Arduino is coming to this red main power strip. The servos are ran off, there's 3 wire servos, so there's 1 ground wire, 1 power wire, and 1 like information wire. And so those are run on the digital pins on the Arduino, and there's 3 of them. And then 2 more of the digital pins from the Arduino go to the motor controller into just like the inputs. And then the 2 motor controller like output pins for the motor are these long wires, and they loop around and go underneath the conveyor belt to a motor. Go in here. So the motor is right in here, and it's connected to this drive gear, and it's what turns the conveyor belt. And then so then we have the 4 pins, power, ground, and 2 digital for the ultrasonic sensor. And this is pointing out, and this is supposed to be the thing that like senses when the car or a person pulls up, and so it won't turn on if like the color sensor is accidentally tripped. So if like something goes in the way of the color sensor but there's no car there, then it won't work. So it needs both of these things to actually run. And then this is a color sensor. It's a RGB color sensor, so it does red, green, and blue colors. And it like spits out certain number values for what it senses based on what's in front of it.
So this is our code for the Arduino package pickup system. Here we had to include the Adafruit library, and we use this by using the hashtag include. And then over here we had notes on which servo was where and like what we connected it to. So like we could always use this to reference it, where we have the servos, ultrasonic, the motors, and all that stuff, and the color sensor. And here we included the wire libraries and the Adafruit libraries and servo. And here we have 3 servos that we used for our project, and it was called yellow, white, and blue. So it was called that because that was the way we wired it, or the colors we used for the wires. And then here's our 2 variables that we used for the ultrasonic sensor. It was duration and distance. Alright, and if you scroll down here in our setup, when all the sensors are connected, then the serial monitor would print found sensor, and it would start reading the colors or the values for the colors. And if it didn't, then it would just say no sensor found and tracker connection. And we had that as like a fail-safe just to make sure. And here we listed the outputs and inputs for the ultrasonic, and here are the outputs and inputs for the servos. No, the motors. And then in our loop here we talked about
so this is just the it's the printing of all the values that the color sensor reads. So it will when it will read the like different things it reads, so like the lux, which is just like the brightness, I think, the red value, the green value, the blue value, and the clearness. And then it will print those in the serial monitor as lux, R, G, B, and C. And so on the serial monitor we can see all of those values come up.
All right, here below we have the value for the distance that we use for the distance sensor.
And this is the distance sensor actual like sending and receiving of the signal. All right, so here's our first if statement. We have 3 main if statements, and this one is saying that if the blue recorded value from the color sensor is greater than 1300, which is just a number that it spits out, and the distance is less than 5 on the ultrasonic sensor, then the particular one that we have the blue package mapped to, the servo will push out the package onto the conveyor belt, and then the motor with the conveyor belt will turn on for 3 seconds, and then that gives it enough time to get to the end and then stop. And then the same thing is basically what's happening with the red one and the green one. It's just mapped to a different servo. And then we just have one else statement that's saying if none of those conditions are met, you just delay for 1/10 of a second and start looping again. So here we have the serial monitor up, and it just shows the different values like lux, RGB, and C. So like when you put something in front, you'll see one of those numbers spike, and that's what it uses to determine which one goes. So here we'll put just the color in the way and not anything in front of the ultrasonic. So that shows that nothing moves unless the ultrasonic and the color sensor. Alright, so this is blue, which is the front package. And then green's the back.
Real quick, I talked to Laura, she ordered batteries. I'll be there tomorrow now. Sounds good. Thank you. Yeah.
And then red is the last one in the middle.